Sell, you're first in recognition for questions of the sponsor.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Representative Fine, referring to line 22 of your amendment, the bill refers to person. Is the bill referring to an individual person, or does this also apply to corporate personhood as established in Citizens United?
Representative Fine, you're recognized.
I think it would be any legal entity providing services on behalf of any such agency, whether it's an individual or corporate personhood. I think your question's a good one.
Representative Casal, you're recognized for a question.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Representative Fine, turning your attention to line 24 of the amendment, you reference not expend funds. What type of funds are you referring to in line 24 of the bill?
Representative Fine.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Any.
Representative Casal.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. In follow-up to my previous question, so would your bill prevent a corporation from using private funds to provide or reimburse for gender clinical interventions?
Representative Fine, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I'm not sure how you get from there to there. Let me just read it, and we can talk about it. A state agency, political subdivision, public post-secondary institution, as defined in the law, or person providing services to or on behalf of any such agency, subdivision, or institution by contract or other agreement or relationship may not expend funds to provide or reimburse for gender clinical interventions as defined in this law.
Representative Casal, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. In following up with regards to that, based on your definition of person, including corporations, will this bill prevent corporations, for example, Coca-Cola, if they are a vendor of Miami Beach, would your bill prevent Coca-Cola from using private corporate funds to provide or reimburse for gender clinical interventions?
Representative Fine, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. It would for minors, because you can't do it at all under this bill. I don't believe that it would for adults. I mean, again, assuming they go through the processes and procedures in this bill.
Representative Casal, you're recognized for a follow-up.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Turning your attention to line 148, the bill refers to health insurance policies. Are these health insurance policies issued by private companies or state-issued health insurance companies that the bill is referring to?
Representative Fine, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, and thank you. That is a good question. It is all health insurance policies.
Representative Casal, you're recognized for a follow-up.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Would this section of the bill prevent private health insurance companies from providing coverage to individuals over the age of 18 for gender clinical interventions?
Representative Fine, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, and thank you for that question. To be clear, yes, it would.
Representative Casal, you're recognized again.
Does your bill mandate that insurance companies that currently provide this coverage and will stop writing this coverage as a result of this law return any unearned premiums or reduce premiums as a result of reduction of coverage of this bill?
Representative Fine.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Hopefully in the panoply of things that insurance companies cover today, this is not a large percentage of it and be a nominal amount in the grand scheme of what they underwrite. But no, it would not do that.
Representative Casal, you're recognized for a follow-up.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Your bill does not provide any reference to an agency or department that will oversee or enforce these provisions. What agency or department will oversee or enforce this ban of health coverage?
Representative Fine, you're recognized.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. It does not, because how health insurance companies are regulated is already under state statute. This bill does not change that.
Representative Casal for a follow-up.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Does current state statute regulate and dictate to insurance companies what type of coverage they provide?
Representative Fine.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. At times, yes, it does.
Follow-up, Representative Casal.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. And this question is actually directed to Representative Masulo. I had an opportunity to watch the March 22nd, 2023 Healthcare Regulation Subcommittee, where you mentioned that the reason why we are telling insurance companies that they can't provide this coverage is because you believe that these procedures are cosmetic. Does the state of Florida already dictate to private insurance companies what they determine is cosmetic versus elective versus necessary?
Representative Masulo, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. What is cosmetic is not covered by insurance. I don't know of any insurance company that covers cosmetic procedures.
Representative Casal, you're recognized for a follow-up.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Thank you, Representative Masulo, for that answer. Is that currently a business decision that insurance companies are making, or is that currently dictated by state statute?
You're recognized for an answer. Representative Masulo.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. That is currently a business decision.
Representative Casal, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Does your bill provide any additional funding or resources for mental health services to be provided as a result of this bill?
Representative Fine, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. It does not. The legislature does appropriate a substantial amount for mental health funding, but I do think that is something that Representative Masulo and I do have interest in trying to do.
Follow-up, Representative Casal, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, and this will be my last question, but just for clarification, I appreciate your future intent, but does this bill provide any additional resources or funding to children for mental health services or resources?
Representative Fine, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. This bill in no way affects the ability of a child to get mental health services. The status quo as it relates to mental health services for dealing with gender dysphoria is not changed, is not limited. It's not increased, it's not decreased at all in the bill as written today.
Members,